lost all control. Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She caught me with her hypnotic dance. She holds me with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Ooh, let's turn on the mics, turn on the lights. It's time for the show, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to those of you that are here. Welcome to the show. We appreciate you being here. It's our Sunday night Night Terrors episode. And as such, we got a full hour of fun lined up for you. Hello to those of you that are in there, Portal Mom. How's my boys? Hi, my boys. Hi, guys. Asset Ramsey says, Maggie's here. Relish Razor, there you are.
Yeah.
That's you.
I'm here.
You're here. Android Purity, Rachel is here. Creepers Cryptid is here. Elaine's here. Portal Mom, of course. Renee Cruz and the fourth color, Ethan. Brant Douglas is here. The fourth color is here again. Digger Dog and Portal Mom again. And Ethan. All right. Those are the people that are chatting so far. Welcome to the show, as always. We are thrilled to be here. If you have something paranormal of your very own that you want to share on the show, please feel free to call in. You can do so by calling 720-923-0500. And, of course, let me introduce my special co-host for these lovely shows. This is my eldest, Mr. Sheldon.
Hey.
How you doing, Sheldon?
I am doing well as always. I'm glad you didn't forget me.
I never forget you. I always remember. It's kind of like you're, it's almost like a genetic imperative that I remember you.
It's almost like I'm part of the family here.
Yeah, I know. It's like you're my progeny. Why wouldn't I remember you? Of course I remember you, but I'm glad to have you sitting in here with me and helping to drive the ship. It gets a little heavy sometimes all by myself, so I appreciate your assistance.
Of course. Always here to help.
Well, good. We can mow later. Well, you said, hey, you didn't qualify, so I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Well, time to go back to Minnesota.
You lazy, good for nothing. I mean, that's my boy.
Ooh, nice.
I'm just kidding. But welcome, everybody. We are going to do some strange phenomena tonight. That means we're going to cover a lot of different things. First and foremost, the paranormal. It's all paranormal, of course, but we're going to cover some more of the stories of near-death experiences, and then we're going to talk about an article from our very own good friend, Mr. Brent Swanser of Mysterious Universe, who has written an article that I think is fantastic. It's an older one of his from his archives, but I'm excited to read it because I think I used to watch this show that correlates with it, and we'll get into that in a bit. And then don't forget, we got the Trail Cam Terrors to end it all off tonight, I guess. So we're in for an hour of good fun, and this is the last show before our break. Yeah. The Unknown says, yay, Sheldon. He yells it out. Good. All capitals even. You got a fan, Sheldon.
I know. Thank you. Thank you for everything you do.
That's pretty cool. Outstanding. I don't ever see, hey, Brent.
You're old news.
You're overshadowing me now.
No.
That's okay. But anyway, folks, I hope you're all ready because it's time for bed. at the end of there. Boom. It's like an uppercut. Boom. Oh, just hits me right in the good places.
I know I always looking forward to a good old uppercut.
Talk to you later. I'll whip up some fresh ones for you. I'm just kidding. Of course, I don't beat my kids. Not publicly anymore.
Not anymore.
Not
kidding.
anymore.
I'm kidding.
Oh my God, you're so grounded after this show. That's it. You're going to your room to think about it. You're not too old for that.
Nah, well, yeah, well, I don't, yeah, sure, whatever.
All right. Well, anyway, folks, we're going to get into some strangeness here, as we always do on the portal. We're going to revisit an article that we've been revisiting for a long time now. Actually, we started this article, Don and I started it quite a long time ago. And then it just kind of sat here as one of my many tabs of fun on my screen. And then I'm like, we rediscovered it again the other night when we went into reincarnation and near-death experiences. Although we never really got into the reincarnation part of it. We did get into the near-death, but there's still more. So I'd like to share some of those for you right now. Paranormal Portal, when you all watch Hunt for the Skinwalker, please discuss it on the show. I'd love to hear your take. Okay.
All right.
Well, I'll be sure to do that. It's one of those things. I really don't watch much TV. I just don't have the time. And it's because a lot of times I'm going through things for the shows, or I'm going through messages, or I'm going through scheduling interviews, or I'm doing interviews, or I'm doing any number of other things. And by the time I'm done with my day, I'm just like, oh, I'm tired. I'm going to go right to bed. So, but I do want to see that. We will discuss it when it's time. Paranormal Portal's Tabs of Terror. Rachel, you are such a creative soul.
Yeah, she really
such
is.
A creative soul.
Yeah.
My God.
I have a great appreciation for Rachel's puns and humor.
I think she always comes in with these really great thoughts about the phenomena too. So,
Okay. Yep.
as do many of you. And this is, of course, anytime we have discussions, that's really my favorite part of the show, is to discuss ideas and discuss the phenomena. But
Yeah.
let's get started with this article. What do you say, Sheldon?
I'm ready.
You're ready.
Mm-hmm.
Sheldon's ready, folks. That means we can get going. And we're going to start off again. This is from IANDS.org. And it's, I forget what IANDS stands for. Let me get to it. It's International Association of Near-Death Experiences or something like that. International Association for Near-Death Studies, Inc. And specifically, it's been pretty well centered around the book Beyond the Light. It's a website that was set up by the group that I think are behind the book Beyond the Light, and it's copywritten by P.M.H. Atwater, reproduced with the author's permission. So, and I think these are beautiful stories. Again, the near-death experiences to me are really, they are definitely signs that there's something incredible going on, and we are not just we don't have an expiration date when our body quits. It's like something continues. We continue into some kind of experience and some kind of life. Brent and Sheldon, thank you kindly. Oh, you're welcome, Rachel. But I love these stories because, if anything, even at times in my life when there was times when, of course, everybody I think has struggles with, what do I believe in? Can I really believe in this stuff, or is there anything to it? And I think we always question those things. But when I read these stories, it's really another strong affirmation that, life is universal, life is eternal, and that's really exciting. So,
Yeah.
All right. So number 9 on this list that we've been working through is Gloria Hipple of Blakesley, Pennsylvania, was brought to my attention by Gracia Faye Elwood, an individual who was investigating hell-like near-death scenarios. Oh, that's got to be horrifying.
Hell-like. Oh.
And this is mentioned on pages 32 through 36 of the paperback version Beyond the Light. My incident took place in August of 1955. I'd been taken to Middlesex Hospital in New Brunswick, New Jersey, due to a miscarriage. Placed in a ward because I was a military dependent, the doctor who was to care for me never came. Oh, that's terrible. I was placed at a 45-degree angle due to bleeding and was left that way almost 8 days. Oh, that would suck. No one heard my pleas, and by the 8th day, I could not hear anyone. My eyes could not see, and I was later told that my body temperature registered at 87.6 degrees.
Oh, my God.
I should have been dead.
Yeah.
I recall being pulled down into a spinning vortex. At first, I didn't know what was happening. And then I realized my body was being drawn downward head first. I panicked and fought, trying to grab at the sides of the vortex. All I could think of was my 2 children, and no one would care for them. I pleaded, please, not now, but I kept moving downward. God, that's got to be a horrid feeling, that poor person. I tried to see something, but all there was to see was this cyclonic void that tapered into a funnel. I kept grabbing at the sides, but my fingers had nothing to grasp. Terror set in, true terror. I saw a black spot, darker than the funnel, and like a black curtain falling in front of me. And then there was a white dot, like a bright light at the end of the funnel. But as I grew closer, it was a small white skull. It became larger, grinning at me with bare sockets and gaping mouth, and traveling straight towards me like a baseball. Not only was I terrified, I was really livid too. I struggled to grab hold of anything to keep me from falling, but the skull loomed larger. My kids, my baby is so little. My little boy, he's only 2 years old. No. The words rang in my head and ears. With a bellowing yell, I screamed, no, damn it, no. Let me go. My babies need me. No, 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 no. The skull shattered into fragments and I slowed in movements. A white light, the brightest light I have ever known or will ever see again, was in place of the skull. It was so bright, yet it did not blind me. It was a welcome and calming light. The black spot or curtain was gone. I felt absolute peace of mind and sensed myself floating upward. And I was back. I heard my husband calling me off in the distance. I opened my eyes, but could not see him. 2 doctors were at the foot of my bed. Both were angry and compassionate at the same time. And I was taken to the operating room, given several pints of blood, and was released 1 week later. No one would believe my handshake with the Grim Reaper. Scoffers almost put me in tears, but everyone laughed at me, including my husband. So I never told my story again until I wrote to you. It was the most horrendous, yet the most gratifying experience I've ever had in my life. A flood of memories poured forth once Hipple started talking about her experience, including a nearly forgotten incident that had occurred in 1943 when she had a tonsillectomy. Ether was the sedation used to put me to sleep, and I recall being terrified by the mask and the awful smell. I can still taste it as I think about it. As the sedation took hold, there was a vortex, the dizzy spinning sensation, as I was dragged downward into sleep. I screamed, not knowing what was happening to me. As she compared the 2 episodes, she recognized that the vortex experienced during surgical anesthesia in childhood was the same as the one she encountered as an adult, minus the smell and taste. This association underscores that you find in medical literature. It is well known and documented that certain chemicals, especially ether, can cause vortex or spinning hallucinations. Missing from medical literature, however, is mention of anything more significant than this imagery. No attention is given to possible after effects above and beyond chemical side effects. Hipple suffered no side effects from the sedation she was given in 1943, nor any after effects from being pulled into the vortex, except for a dislike of ether. But her adult confrontation with the same type of vortex did have after effects, the kind associated with near-death phenomena. Unlike Epley, Hipple's hellish near-death experience was lengthy, intense, fully involved, and resolved in heavenly light. A dream? Absolutely not, she continues. My near-death experience has made me quite sensitive to many more things than my mind understands. It also helped me to be less serious about myself. I'm dispensable. I have discovered I do not value things as I once did. I befriend people in a different way. I respect their choices to be the people they want to be. The same for my own family. I will guide but not demand. And as for the light, it was then and remains so. My encounter with the most powerful of all entities. The giver of life on both sides of the curtain. After all, I was given a second chance, and I'm blessed and cannot ask for more. A closer examination of Hipple's life reveals the sudden development of unique sensitivities afterwards, the pending death of An unborn daughter was revealed to her in a usually detailed vision. Okay. When her husband died in a trucking accident at 4:15 a.m., she was up and prepared for it and even heard a thump against her trailer home at the exact moment he was killed some distance away. Strange sensations about her sister awakened her from a deep sleep at the exact moment her sister died. I am more sensitive to people's thoughts and actions than before. I follow hunches that are sometimes quite accurate. Like Epley, Gloria Hipple now glows with a special confidence, charm, and wisdom. She speaks effusively of God and angels, the curtain, the darkness, the skull, the void, the terror, the anger, the fight, the light. There was nothing more than that, but it changed my life. Her hellish experience transformed her from being dependent on outer circumstances and material possession to the realization of greater truths and the power of inner peace. No drug-induced hallucination ever recorded fostered the kind of life shift that happened to this woman, and she is one of millions. And that's what's really cool, is when those experiences are so incredibly transformative, right?
I would say so. Yeah. It's so chilling, but at the same time, it seems to have helped her in the long run.
Right. And so you gotta think, like, so when people have those dark kind of experiences or visions, they have them, is that the lesson? Is that the reason they had that experience, was to shake them from the I don't know, the dogma of their lives, the ridiculousness of the physical, and refocusing them on a more, I don't know, spiritual or altruistic path?
Or you could say maybe could be even a climax of something dark within her she's been wrestling for years, and that was the climax of it and the purging of it.
Maybe. Yeah. There is that. Maybe she had an attachment that was making her kind of dark and causing problems, and that was when she purged it. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe so. Now, I've heard that there are, well, I heard this from Amy Allen of the Dead Files, and I think she's pretty really dead on with a lot of stuff. And she made a mention once on one of the shows of the Dead Files about encountering dark entities, and that they can sometimes tag a person. And essentially what it does is it's almost like it creates a tether to that person, like it's almost like claiming a soul. What you would imagine if a devil were to show up at the time you're passing and go, "Oh, you're coming with me now." And I think that's interesting. And maybe that kind of thing had happened to this woman, and I don't know if she even knew it. I mean, I sometimes think those things happen even within the ignorance of the person themselves. Like, and it can take the form of many things. Like, it might take the form of chemical dependence. It might take the form of some real emotional issues or psychological issues, perhaps. And the people may not know exactly what it is, but they might not be really happy people because they're carrying around this cloud. I don't know. It's just an idea. And of course, I'm not intending to try to take away from the fact that there are very real psychological issues that people wrestle with that have a lot to do with brain chemistry and the way their brains work versus, the way most people's brains work. But I think there's also a spiritual aspect for some people, and maybe that's how it happens. Maybe they get that tag or that thing that's grabbing onto them, and that was her purging it, or having it purged for her. That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about anyway. I don't know. But I think these stories are wonderful, and it does kind of help you at least see the higher power involved in it. It's like she maybe very much needed that. We don't know who she is outside of a narrative in a few paragraphs, but it sounds like the experience was incredibly powerful for her on many different levels, not just, hey, I saw this weird experience and I'm okay now. It was absolutely changed her for the better. And I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's very incredible.
It's a powerful story.
It really is. Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Let's get to the next one. How long is this one? Let's read number 10, and then I don't know what we got for time here. Yeah, we'll read number 10, and then we'll jump to that article. So, number 10 on this is, next is a case of a haunting and an experiencer assaulted by entities. Wow. Didn't we just talk about this?
Yeah. Yep.
It's like, really? Wow. Awaiting her arrival in the tunnel. But there's more to the story of Sandra H. Brock of Staunton, Virginia, than first glance reveals. Proof that one cannot judge a near-death scenario solely by its description. You must investigate before and after conditions in the person's life to reach any kind of meaningful context within which to consider the experience. Pages 36 through 39 of the paperback version of Beyond the Light. I had a stomach stapling in 1980 and in the process had to have a deformed spleen removed. I hemorrhaged on the operating table, and the doctor said that at 3 times he thought he was going to lose me. The first day after surgery, I had to have transfusions, and during one of the transfusions, I started feeling really weird. I felt like if I shut my eyes, I would never open them again. I called a nurse, and of course, she said that it was all in my head and left the room. Oh, no.
Jeez.
It's all in your head. Go back to sleep.
Yep. Yep.
Thanks, Nurse Satan. I remember she just walked out of the door, and I started being pulled through a tunnel. It was a terrible experience because all I could see were people from my past. People who were already dead, who had done or said something to me that had hurt me in one way or another. They were laughing and screaming until I thought I could not stand it. I begged and begged that I be allowed to go back, and I could see a light at the end of the tunnel, but I never really got close to it. All of a sudden, I was back in my bed, just thankful that I had not died. Brock, as it turned out, has had several near-death type experiences scattered over a long life. My mother told me that when she found she was pregnant with me, she prayed that I would die. Oh, that's horrible. Oh. They were just coming out of the Depression, and they already had a baby and could not afford another. When I was born with a hair lip. Mother thought that was her punishment for wanting me dead, and within several days, and without any surgery, my hair lip healed itself. And to this day, I do not carry a scar. Wow, that's really cool.
Nice.
She also told me that when I was only a few weeks old, she came to my bassinet and found me not breathing. I had already turned purple. She grabbed me, shook me, and blew in my face until I started breathing again. Well, I don't remember this experience, but I do remember being in a bassinet that had no liner. I remember studying my hands and what my hands looked like as an infant. That's pretty cool. It's got that very early memory recall.
Yeah.
My mother said I couldn't possibly remember this, but I did, and I was right. Until the age of 4, Brock survived numerous nearly fatal accidents that caused cessation of breath. Her memory of each is detailed and verified by relatives, even though several occurred when she was only a toddler. Right from her earliest years, I suspect from when she was but a few weeks old, she displayed the typical after effects of the near-death phenomena, including stunningly accurate psychic abilities, extended perceptual range, and heightened faculties. Like Hipple, she has been visited by the dead, advised of pending deaths, and has known the exact moment individuals died. Yet Brock has been haunted throughout her life, and not just by the deceased who grabbed at her in death's tunnel. An overshadowing theme of why would anyone want to harm me seems to have permeated every aspect of her life's experiences. From her memory of frightening creatures crawling into her bed when she was young and making her scream and cry to adult misunderstandings and distressing dreams, it's almost as if her mother's prayer that she die imprinted her brain in some manner. I say that because Brock's many brushes with death, even as an infant, were precipitated by acts of self-destructive behavior. That single overshadowing theme continued to undermine the satisfaction that her many accomplishments in life should have given her. This did not change until after her husband's death in 1983. Self-death, I guess is.
Yeah.
At that time, according to Brock, her father, son, and longtime dead, her father and son, long since dead, and her recently deceased husband physically, and in broad daylight, drove up to her front door in an old Cadillac, honked the horn, and called out, "We're together now, and we're okay." Wow, that's cool. Wow. "We just wanted you to know." With that said, the group, the car, and all disappeared. This ghostly spectacle gave Brock the reassurance she needed to finally free herself from the ghost of her own past. Her mother's death decree, which she had subconsciously been trying to both justify and nullify throughout her life, was finally put to rest when her husband's self-death forced her to confront her own life's issues, as she came to terms with this. In Brock's case, her near-death episode was one in a long series of similar events that finally brought her to the point of peace within herself, where true forgiveness and understanding resides. That's beautiful.
See, I really like stories like that, where it's really good outcomes, like things you learn to grow, or
Right.
Things you've been haven't been at peace, in your life, but they finally come to a resolute end. I like that.
Yeah, that's kind of it's really a beautiful thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree with that. All right. Just wanted to see what was going on there. All right, so we're going to move along now, and we're going to go to the article I promised you. I promised you an article, a Brent Schwanzer article, and we're going to get into that right now. Okay, so Brent Schwanzer, for those of you who may be new to the show, has been a longtime friend of the show and is a friend on social media, just a great guy. And he writes for mysteriousuniverse.org, and if you haven't checked out mysteriousuniverse.org, you should, because they have thousands of articles there written by he and many other talented writers, including Nick Redfern and Paul Seberg and many more. The articles are fantastic. It's about all the Fortean topics. So if you're into the paranormal, supernatural, Fortean topics, you're going to find stuff there that's you're going to love. And it's also, Mysterious Universe is also a podcast. Very well done one at that. They do a phenomenal job. So, but we're going to get into an article written by Brent Schwanzer. Also, you can find Brent Schwanzer in his group on Facebook, which is called Dark League Paranormal. And it's just a fun group, really great group, and very active. So check it out, get involved. And you can get involved in the Paranormal Portal fans group, too. You can find that on Facebook, Paranormal Portal fans, and our official Paranormal Portal radio page on Facebook as well. So let's get after it here with an article by Brent Schwanzer from August 9th of 2018 from mysteriousuniverse.org. And this article is Bizarre Celebrity Encounters with the Paranormal. Yes, it's true. Now, I used to watch a show on television called My Ghost Story, or was it Celebrity Ghost Stories? Celebrity Ghost Stories, I think is what it was.
Oh, yeah. I've seen
you remember that?
Yep, I do.
I think you probably watched them with me many times.
I did. Yep.
And it was kind of cool because, of course, celebrities are just people too. And oftentimes we conflate them with being these larger than life individuals, but they're just the same idiots all of us are too. They're the same people struggling with the same things. It's just they got in many cases, a better job or better pay at any rate.
Yeah.
But they get haunted too. So I used to love that show when it was on, Celebrity Ghost Stories, because I found it very, very intriguing and interesting, and the whole spectrum of things people had experiences. And I actually learned a lot on there watching those shows. Just different cultural experiences that people had, I thought were really fascinating. So when I saw this article, I was like, ooh, we got to read this one on the show. And so we will right now. All right, so this is Bizarre Celebrity Encounters with the Paranormal by Brent Schwanzer, August 9th, 2018. Paranormal experiences and brushes with the world beyond our understanding seem to happen to people from all walks of life, all levels of education, and all ages. There is no real certain group of people who are more or less likely to have such experiences. And accounts run the gamut across the board, often coming from very reliable people. Of course, the reports we often pay attention to are those that come from our favorite actors, musicians, and other celebrities. And some of these are just about as strange as you're likely to find. From ghosts to witches to meetings with beings from another world or dimension, there are some of the oddest reports from the famous that show that the paranormal does not care whether you're a celebrity or not when it makes an appearance, and that sometimes these larger-than-life personalities are just as susceptible to the strange and frightening as anyone else. Many strange celebrity brushes with the world of the paranormal involve encountering various ghostly phenomena, and there is a surprisingly large number of such cases. Famous Star Wars actress Carrie Fisher had some bizarre experience in the time after her close friend R. Gregory Stevens died from a drug overdose at her Beverly Hills home. She claimed that in the days after his death, she heavily felt his presence lurking everywhere, as well as had the sensation of being watched and even touched by an unseen presence. Even spookier was the lights and electronic equipment that would turn on and off for no reason. And she would describe her experiences with Vanity Fair in 2006, saying, lights would go on and off, and I had this toy machine that when you touched it, it would say F you or eat S. You're an a-hole. And it would go off in the middle of the night by itself in my closet. I was a nut for a year.
I kind of want that toy.
It's great fun.
That'd be the funniest way to get haunted, though, you know?
Nice.
F
Yeah.
you. You just random in the
From
other
your
room.
closet.
Yeah.
F you.
Screw you.
No, F you. Can have arguments with your toy. This would be like being in New York at any point.
Yeah.
All right, sticking with actors for now. Actor Matthew McConaughey found that a new home that he had purchased was haunted shortly after moving in. The spirit is described as a middle-aged woman dressed in blue, which he calls Madame Blue. One evening, he claims that he heard anomalous noises downstairs in the middle of the night, and no one was there. And she was apparently glimpsed or heard rummaging about the home on several occasions. On another occasion, he got so sick of her antics after hearing her making a ruckus in another room that he actually confronted the spirit, of which he would say, I was not even under the influence, and she was there. She wasn't that happy. It didn't seem like she was going to be much fun to hang around or have in my house, so I went ahead and stood my ground. I opened the door and said, all right, all right. No, that's not what it says. Sorry. He didn't say all right, all right. Sorry. I opened the door and said, you can move around all you want, but I'm not going anywhere. For weeks, everyone that came to the house said the same thing. There's someone down in that hall. There's someone down in that hall. Another Hollywood megastar, Keanu Reeves, has also related a rather surreal paranormal experience once that he had as a kid. The very strange incident supposedly happened just after having moved into a new apartment in New York and involved seeing a disembodied suit flying around through the place with no one in it. And one evening, while I was home alone with his nanny at the time. His nanny? Oh, okay. Reeves has explained of this incident. There was a doorway, and all of a sudden we're looking over there, and this jacket comes waving through the doorway. Just empty. There's no head, there's no body, there's no legs. It's just there. And then it disappears. I was a little kid, so I thought, well, that's interesting. And then I looked over at the nanny, and it was her shocked face that made me realize what we had just seen was real. Wow, it was right, yeah. Another actor with quite a strange tale to tell is the esteemed cinema and theater actor Patrick Stewart, Make It So, #1.
Yes.
Who saw an apparition at the notoriously haunted Theatre Royal Haymarket while performing Waiting for Godot with fellow thespian Sir Ian McKellen. And as they were in the middle of performing Act 1 of the play, Stewart alleges that he saw off in the wings a man standing alone in a beige coat and twill trousers who stared and then proceeded to just vanish. It was all so startling that Stewart was actually flustered and missed a line. And when McKellen asked him during the interview what had happened, Stewart simply said, I just saw a ghost on stage during Act 1. It would soon become apparent to them after talking to stagehands at the theater and the theater director that the theater had a long history of being haunted by the alleged ghost of a Baldwin Buckstone who had been an actor himself, as well as a playwright, and eventually the manager of the establishment back in the 19th century before dying in 1879. Ever since then, the spirit of Buckstone has been seen from time to time by both actors and stagehands alike. In an article in The Telegraph, the modern director of the theater, Nigel Everett, said of Stewart's sighting and the haunting, Patrick told us all about it, and he was stunned, and I would not say frightened, but I would say impressed. The last time an actor saw him would have been, I think, Fiona Fullerton playing in an Oscar Wilde 10 or 12 years ago. The ghost tends to appear when a comedy is playing, and I think Buckstone appears when he appreciates things. We view it as a positive thing.
Oh,
That's kind of cool.
yeah.
In addition to film actors, some movie directors have had inexplicable brushes with the paranormal as well. Acclaimed director Peter Jackson, well known for his Lord of the Rings and Hobbit trilogies of fantasy films, has apparently had his own odd experience. At the time, the director had been staying with his wife in an apartment across from the St. James Theatre in London, when one night he woke to find an apparition of a woman at the end of his bed, with a face that seemed to be frozen into a scream. Yeah, that's a horrible thing to wake up to.
Oh, God.
The frightening entity then allegedly hovered across the room to disappear through a wall. When he told his wife what he had seen that next day, he said of her reply, she asked, "Was it the woman with the screaming face?" We had never spoken about it. She had seen the same ghost 2 years earlier, so I do believe in some energy, a spirit or a soul, and they say she manifests herself in the theater with a screaming face. Sometimes she's seen the same ghost. She needs to learn to smile a little.
Yeah, I'd say.
Probably.
Oh, God.
Besides actors and filmmakers, there are plenty of famous musicians who have had their own harrowing supernatural tales to tell. The very well-known pop singer Miley Cyrus apparently had a rather frightening experience with some sort of paranormal entity while staying in an apartment in London in 2009 during a concert tour. Things started with a scary encounter relayed by Cyrus's sister with the flat's bathroom, and Miley would also see the spirit, which seemed to take the form of a little boy. She would say of the things in an interview with LUK thus: "One night, my little sister, it sounds crazy to tell you, but she was standing in the shower, and all of a sudden I hear her scream. I run in there, and the water had somehow flipped to hot. But it wasn't still. It wasn't like the water had just changed. The knob had turned, but she hadn't turned it, and it was burning her. She was really red, and I thought I had seen a little boy sitting on the sink watching me take a shower, so I felt really freaked out. I was sitting there the next night, and maybe I'm crazy, but I could have sworn I could see this little boy sitting there on the sink, kicking his feet. We found out that there was this older man that owned the bakery, and his son lived with him there. And I guess the wife died or something. She had gotten sick, so it was just the son and the dad that lived there in the bakery, and then the dad died, and the son took over the bakery, and I thought I was seeing the son. I'm not even kidding. I had to move. That's not a lie. I will never stay there ever again."
Oh, wow.
It came in like a wrecking ball. Sorry.
Oh, my God.
I had to. It was so easy.
Yeah.
It was the low-hanging fruit,
Yeah, it
folks.
sure was.
There you go. Another famous pop musician, Ariana Grande. Grande.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like a grande mochaccino, please. Had an even scarier experience while visiting an old castle and cemetery in Kansas City, in the U.S. While there at the notoriously haunted Skull Cemetery, Grande and her friends came across what seems to have been perhaps an actual demon. It started as they were driving through the cemetery, and she felt overwhelmed by an intense, unshakable feeling of pure dread and anguish. After which she smelled sulfur and saw a fly buzzing around in the vehicle.
Oh.
It was darn flies.
Oh, boy.
This was scary. This was scary enough that she decided to leave, but not before apologizing to any spirits in the area and snapping some photos. And this is where things get really weird. Grand has said that in an interview with Complex Magazine, then I took a picture, and there were 3 super distinct faces in the picture. They're faces of textbook demons. The next day, I tried to send the picture to my manager, and it said, "This file can't be sent. It's 666 megabytes."
What?
No. Oh, no.
No way.
Oh, no.
Oh.
I'm not kidding. I used to have a folder called Demons that had pictures with all the screen caps in it. But then weird things started happening to me, so I deleted it.
Oh, my God.
She's also said that a few weeks before the interview, she had the most frightening demonic experience of all, claiming, "I'd just gotten off the phone, and as soon as I closed my eyes, I heard this really loud rumble right by my head. When I opened my eyes, it stopped immediately, but when I closed my eyes, it started again with whispers. Every time I closed my eyes, I started seeing these really disturbing images with like red shapes. Then I opened my eyes and got back on the phone and was like, I'm really scared. I don't want to go to bed tonight. And then I scooched over to the left side of my bed because that's where the best service is in my room. And there was a massive black matter. I don't know what it was. I started crying. I was on the phone like, what do I do? What do I do? And they said, tell it to F off. And I thought, I'm not going to do that. It's going to upset it. So I'm just going to chill and not feed into it because all it wants is fear. It feeds on fear. I watched it move to the front of my bed, and then I fell asleep on the phone. I woke up, and it was gone. Creepy.
I don't even know how you could sleep with that, though. Like, close your eyes.
I don't know.
Yeah, no. No, thank you.
Unless she just passed out. Like,
Oh, maybe
there
she
might
was
be more to
tired.
the story of
Yeah.
how she was going to stay awake and cope with this. We don't know.
True, yeah.
We just don't know what was going on with Ariana Grande in there.
I don't think I'm sleeping that night.
Or you're going to be so numb you won't care.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Yeah.
I'm not saying that was the case, but I just don't
course.
know.
Yeah.
It's all pretty intense, and one wonders what to think of it all. She should make it into a song at the very least.
Yeah.
Perhaps the most bonkers case of a celebrity's experience with the paranormal is the bizarre odyssey of the weird undertaken by the famed late music artist David Bowie. For the larger portion of the 70s, Bowie was absolutely convinced that he was being stalked by a coven of witches, who he was quite sure were after his seed.
Oh.
I'll just say seed. He was so terrified of these witches and the black magic spells he was sure that they were casting that he took to carrying around an assortment of magical protective talismans, and also often obsessively lit black candles in an effort to ward off malicious spirits. As for why they wanted his seed, writer Mark Spitz, author of the biography Bowie, has said, increasingly Bowie was convinced that there were witches after his seed, and they were intent on using it to make a child to sacrifice to the devil. Essentially, the plot to Roman Polanski's 1968 supernatural classic, Rosemary's Baby. Bowie also turned to magical spells, pored over numerous books on white magic and psychic self-defense, and got into the habit of scrawling protective images and pentagrams all over his home in order to protect himself from the malevolent forces he felt were closing in on him from all around. During this dark time, he also became convinced that his swimming pool was infested with demons to the point that he would not go anywhere near it, nor let anyone else go in it. In the end, out of desperation, Bowie apparently turned to a white magician by the name of Wally Elmlark, who went about magically cleansing the pool and trying to cast out these dark forces. Spitz would say of this, Elmlark quickly and successfully exorcised the pool. Angie Bowie, who was living there at the time, noticed that it started to bubble and smoke, and that it only rained outside David's window while the rest of the LA sky was clear. Elmlark wrote a series of spells and incantations out for Bowie as he continued to wrestle with the forces of darkness.
Wow.
That's creepy, huh? Gotta get a drink.
Isn't that what pumpkins were like on Halloween? You carve the faces. Isn't that kind of what they were meant for as well?
Well, they were gourds originally, and they were meant to ward off spirits, but it became pumpkins much later.
Oh, okay.
As a more modern adaptation of those rituals, yes.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it was actually gourds first.
Gourds.
They had gourds or parsnips or something else. It was something that were, that wasn't pumpkins. But it became pumpkins, which is awesome because everybody loves pumpkin pie.
Oh, yeah.
Like me some pumpkin. All right. Bowie would go on to credit Elmlark for saving him from the supernatural danger and salvaging his soul. It is important to remember that all of this was happening during a troubled time in the musician's life when large mountains of cocaine and other drugs were the order of the day. So whether any of this was due to the being stalked by witches or the tripping of balls is anyone's guess. I love it.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible. Speaking of hard partying rockers, some other musicians have supposedly had encounters with something even more otherworldly than ghosts. One notable case was the experience supposedly had by none other than the legendary John Lennon of the Beatles fame.
Ooh.
The account comes from noted magician and psychic Uri Geller. No, I'm doing the mouth thing like.
He's back.
He's back. Damn it. Dang it, Uri just keeps coming up.
He does.
Who is friends with Lennon and claims that the artist once relayed to him a very surreal and outlandish encounter that he had had. I gotta wipe my eyes now. Damn Uri Geller. Dang it, he's back. Sorry. According to Geller, Lennon told him that one day in the early 1970s, he had looked outside of his apartment after seeing an anomalous bright light, and that he had seen strange bug-like creatures milling about outside, which repelled him with some invisible force field when he tried to get closer. Lennon would reportedly explain of this. They did something, but I don't know what it was. I tried to throw them out, but when I took a step towards them, they kind of pushed me back. I mean, they didn't touch me. It was just like they willed me, pushed me with willpower and telepathy. The next thing Lennon knew, he lost consciousness and woke up in his own bed, and it might have been all been written off as the weird dream if it hadn't been for the alien mechanical metal egg sitting there in his hands. Lennon would purportedly pass it to Geller and say, "It's too weird for me. If it's my ticket to another planet, I don't want to go there." It's unclear what happened to this egg-like device after this, as far as I know. Almost as weird as the incident experienced by the Red Rocket, or Rocker rather. Red Rocket. Sorry, that's a South Park reference.
Yes, it is.
Sammy Hagar, perhaps most well known for being the frontman of the rock group Van Halen, after David Lee Roth, which I think was more awesome, but that's just me.
Yeah.
He claims that in 1967 he was visited by aliens as he slept. I love Sammy Hagar, don't get me wrong, but I was a big David Lee Roth fan. Which he says plugged him into some sort of complex machine and began pumping his brain full of strange numerical codes and information. Hagar would say of this, "I was just lying in bed when I felt something weird going on, like someone was tapping into my brain. I didn't know how to explain it." Let me just say that. "But they were downloading or uploading, and that's the simplest way to put it. Oh, I could see them. They were playing with a numerical code, but it wasn't from our numerical system. And then suddenly this telepathic connection broke. It scared me nearly to death. It was an experience I couldn't understand." After this connection was broken, Hagar said he screamed and managed to pull away, after which he claims that he woke up and there was a loud popping sound, after which his room went entirely white. In the days after this mysterious event, hold on, got to still rub, Hagar became convinced that those aliens had uploaded some sort of important information into his head, and he would even go as far as to credit them with the success later of his career, saying, "My ego was telling me they've programmed you to be a rock star, so I used it as a tool to write songs about outer space in the future, songs like Crack in the World and Silver Lights, which is about the second coming of Christ Jesus coming back in a spaceship." What in the world did these various famous people experience? Was there anything to this, or is this just hallucinations, misunderstandings, and or drugs in some cases? Although their celebrity status gives their accounts more exposure and perhaps weight, in the end, it is no clearer with these cases than with anyone else whether any of this really happened or not. Yet it is interesting to see that it's not always nobodies living out in the boondocks who are these weird who have these weird experiences. Sorry, I'm just my head's drifting, I guess. And it indeed adds to the great big pile of weird that is the world of the paranormal. Excellent article.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
I like that a lot.
That's Brent Swanser for you, man. That guy does not disappoint.
The thing with David Bowie, it's
That's-
sure is possible.
Well, here's the thing. I think there are dark groups like that around, and I think they may very well have ritualistic goals like that. I don't think that that's maybe as far out as it sounds like. I think there are groups of very, I don't want to say dark magic, because there is no dark magic, but there's dark intentions.
Yeah.
You know, there's just magic. It is what it is, and it's up to the aim of the practitioner to make it dark or light or, you know, or neutral or whatever. Mm-hmm. But there are some dark rituals, I will say that. And certainly anything that deals with, sacrificial things is absolutely horrible.
Absolutely.
Absolutely contrary to anything good and light. It is dark and ugly and horrible. So, so it wouldn't surprise me if there was a group that was looking at David Bowie with, we got to have his whatever progeny for this, So that's the creepy version of life, but there's some really twisted stuff out there, folks, as I know none of you need me to tell you, but I believe it is so. I believe it is. So how are we doing for time? Oh, we're doing absolutely perfect at 7:52.
Yes.
It's almost as if this was entirely scheduled, and I'm here to tell you, it wasn't.
It's not scripted.
Only the start time is scheduled. Everything after that is just a roll of the dice. But it looks like we're ending up in a good place. I don't know if my phone did. No, that wasn't my phone. Okay. I thought my phone vibrated.
That was me.
Oh, that was you.
It died.
Your phone died?
Yeah, I can't read chat anymore. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. If anybody has any messages for you, I'll watch for them.
Yeah.
But that does lead us to our last segment of the night, which of course is the Trail Cam Terrors.
Ooh.
All right, folks, welcome to the Trail Cam Terrors. This is our segment of the show where we discuss and showcase strange videos or pictures that were recorded by either trail cams or security cameras or Ring doorbells or whatever. And tonight, I hope we got a good one here. I think I want to do this, though. I think I want to just check it out on the source because that article's just...
All right now it's time to see what's cooking in Cleveland. For that, we bring in our digital anchor, Stephanie King. Hello.
Okay, let's skip that part. Good Lord.
All right.
That's the actual video, but let's get past the fluff. I'm going to cue it up, folks, so that we can get to right what's going on here, wherever the hell it is.
Yes.
What is it, the whole damn segment? Oh, here we go.
They're just wasting time.
Yeah, they are. Let's go here. Okay, so let me just cue it up. Okay.
Okay.
Here it is. And this is, that's a whole bunch of stuff in there, isn't it? So the purpose of this is talking about a mysterious footage of a ghostly figure running down a street leaves police baffled. Now I'm going to bring it up on camera here for you guys. The article that I pulled this from, it's the Indy100.com. And here's the article itself. Mysterious footage.
Sorry, G said Don's fault. I could read it from here.
Yeah. Anytime anything goes sideways, that's what comes out. So, mysterious footage of a ghostly figure running down a street leaves police baffled. And here it is in microfiche-like font. I don't know. That's kind of a dated reference. I wonder if people really still know what the hell microfiche is.
I don't.
Oh.
There's one.
Snowflake. No. It's at the library. They used to use these micro photos of like newspapers to archive them, and then you'd have to pull them up on these special projectors where you put in
that's
this
what
reel.
Those are called.
It's called microfiche, yeah.
Okay.
So you literally need this thing to explode it and make it appear on this really awkward screen.
Yeah.
And so I just sometimes use it to describe small font. And it's funny in my head for what it's worth. But anyway, police in the U.S. state of Ohio have been left stumped by the mysterious video of a shadowy figure running down a street in the middle of the night. Footage from a doorbell camera captured in the city of Mentor shows a figure lurking on a street at around 10:16 p.m. before running off the screen. Local news outlet WKYC reports that police responded to a call after a resident thought they had seen something outside of their house, which they believed to be a young girl. Is this the one we already showed? This might be, but I don't know if we already showed it. I'm sorry. This is going to be a little bit repetitive, but I think we might have showed it on one of the news segments on Friday, maybe when Don was here. Rerun, but if you missed that, enjoy this now. So we're going to look at the video. You guys can see what the hullabaloo is about, or however to say that. Okay, so this is from their broadcast at WKYC Channel 3 YouTube channel. And this is from March 24th, 2021. So it's relatively newer.
Oh, it's recent.
But anyway, I'm not going to play their broadcast, but there's the video. Yeah, that is the same one. But it's weirdly translucent, right? As it's running, look at how it just kind of is there and then isn't.
Could that just be the camera plus the lighting?
Well,
Oh, but
I mean, everything else, even the trees, is like totally visible except for this.
why is it so choppy?
Right. I don't know.
Everything else looks clear except for...
Right.
Yeah. It actually looks odd.
It does look odd, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I just think it's kind of interesting how it just kind of appears. Let me get back to the beginning. So again, we're going to do this. I'm going to teach you a little bit about YouTube. If you pause a YouTube video, you can use the period and comma keys to go frame by frame. So if you use comma, it goes back a frame. And that's what I'm doing now. I just want to see how it comes into the frame.
I had no idea you could do that.
Yeah, it just goes frame by frame by frame.
Wow.
So there it is. It does seem to like come around a bush there though, doesn't it? There's that lady. So they start it right here where it's actually still visible. Thank God for the blue circle because we might be lost otherwise.
Oh, no.
So here it is as I'm going frame by frame. It does still seem to have like a wispy trait to it though. It's almost like translucent. I don't want to say transparent because you can see it, but it almost actually... Now, that could be a function of just a low frame rate. You know, these cameras are not meant to be cinema quality. They're just meant to record what's going on outside your house to maybe help with police or insurance or any number of things. But there is periods at which it really doesn't even look to be there. Like it's almost not there, and then it's more in resolution there. But again, it could be a function of frame rate of these cameras. And we don't know what resolution this is, but I would suspect it's not much more than 720p. It might be a 1080p camera, but there it is. It's just kind of there and not, but you can definitely see that it's something running. Now, when it gets by the light, you can actually, oh, that's actually, I thought that was a head, but it's actually something behind it. It's very strange. I thought when it was here, you could almost kind of see a shine from the shoes, which I thought was interesting, but that's why I'm going frame by frame. Let's see what happens when it goes in front of the light. Not much more, really.
It looks so odd.
It really does.
It like goes and pauses the way it's like...
Now, what I would... There, it just kind of disappears, so then they zoom in.
Oh, I know.
But what I think is interesting is that
Yeah.
I think if it was a person, like a normal person, you would definitely have a pretty clear shape that you'd be tracking, because a person running is not really a fast thing as far as cameras are concerned. There might be some blurring due to motion and such, depending on the exposure and the ISO rate and the aperture rate. But it shouldn't be this translucent. But maybe it just is. Maybe it's just the way these cameras work.
Jesus, clearly it's a bear.
Clearly,
yeah.
obviously, it's bear. But it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Oops, there's that lady again.
Yeah, there she is.
Yeah, so that's the video tonight. I don't know what you guys make of it, and I apologize that this is redundant. It's a different source. I thought it was a brand new video, but I know we've showcased this recently. But here it is again, for those of you that might have missed it then. It's curious. What does this say? Android, I saw one that looked similar to this, where two different cameras caught the same thing, so that rules out camera glitch or glare from a camera angle. Yeah, in that video, it sure would. You're right. Yeah, I don't know. Friendly neighborhood bear just out for a stroll. Yeah, there you go. It's looking for picnic baskets, I'm sure. Hey, boo-boo. All right, so that is tonight's Trail Cam Terror. Again, I apologize for the repetition, but it's still interesting, and we went through it frame by frame. You can see the entire video. I don't know. I'd like to see where it actually wasn't there and was.
Yeah.
But they queued it up with exactly it in frame, so no such luck, unfortunately. All right, that's what the Trail Cam Terror is, and now, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us here, which is the ending point of our journey tonight. I hope you guys had a good time. It might be a spirit who is untethered to a place and it's running like a child would. Yeah, there's many videos like that, Rachel, where I think there are spirits that are tethered and there are those that aren't, or maybe the ones that aren't tethered were never human at all. There's non-human entities as well. And I've often wondered that. I think human entities might be anchored to a place because it's kind of a function of why they're still earthbound. Maybe they're sorting through things. Maybe they're afraid to go on, but they're seem to be anchored to a location. But some of these other things, and they seem to look humanoid for the most part, but they may not be at all. It's hard to know what they are. that is just completely a fabrication of my own mind. I have no basis for being able to either validate or establish that. I just think that there must be something to it because we have all these different things that aren't human that still appear to us as spiritual entities, and maybe that has something to do with why we see different types of activities or things like this where it's just running out in the open. It's possible. Stay tuned for the Paranormal Portal recap coming up. Thank you, Paranormal Portal, Brent and Sheldon. Great show. Thank you, Maggie. I appreciate that. And thanks for that, Unknown. Appreciate you bunches.
Thank you.
All right, so I guess that's going to be the journey. A tetherball champion? What the hell does that even mean? You know you're good if you can beat yourself. Just saying. All right. I don't even know if that
then for Android, I'll be here for at least a few more days. So this might not be my last show. Maybe it'll be next show or the one after if I'm here or not.
If he's here Thursday, he'll be on with me. So.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. He's a free agent, ladies and gentlemen. But he'll definitely be on the show again. No question there. He just might have to remote in.
Might have to.
So there you have it, folks. That is our show, our presentation of the Paranormal Portal Night Terrors tonight. We hope you loved it. Please spread the word about the show. Let other people know about these shows. We definitely want it to grow, and we certainly need your help to make that happen because, it's always been growing, but it's been growing by word of mouth. This is completely a grassroots kind of movement, and that's been all thanks to you guys. The amount of growth we've experienced is because of all of you. So please continue what you're doing and letting people know about the show. Great show, you guys. God bless. Thank you, Trish, Portal Mom. Good night, Brent and Sheldon. Love you. Love you too, Portal Mom.
Nina.
And that's going to do it for us. So we hope you have a wonderful night. Sheldon, anything in closing?
I just love this community. As welcoming as everyone has been, for me, just coming on in whenever I'm here, it's been great every single time. It's been fun. It's been great. Everyone has nice things to say, funny things to say, witty things to say. It's been great. Honestly. Wow. Thank you, everyone.
It's been great having you here, buddy. And thank you for coming on and being a part of the shows.
Of course.
It's a family here. Family of people all over the nation and world.
Right.
Thank you guys for being here. All right. Love you all. Be good. Be kind. Be nice. Take care of each other. What the hell was I going to say? Take care. I was going to say something, and then it just completely leaped out of my head as I was doing my closing. Oh. Love you all. Be good. Be kind. Be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And I don't remember what I was going to say, but I guess I'll just say it next time. But have a great couple of days. We're going to be not doing live shows for the next 2 days, so we'll be back after that, though. Remember, next weekend on Friday there won't be live shows because Don and I are going to Kelso for the Squatch Fest. So I hope you will join us if we are able to live stream over there. Just stay tuned. If you're not already subscribed, please get subscribed, ring the bell. That way you'll know when we just do an impromptu stream as we're over there. So planning on seeing a lot of people. And hopefully if you're in the neighborhood, you'll be there and come say hello. We'll just be walking around. We don't have a booth or anything. We're free agents for this one. We're just going to be free agents. So, all right, guys, love you bunches. And that's all I got. Have a great night. We'll see you on Wednesday night for the Wednesday show. Until then, sweet dreams.